it's really heartening to see a spirit that is so free, that is so alive, that is so energetic, because that is what inspires youngsters, that inspires women. I must come back to women, right? Because this special series is about women. Um, it's a complicated question, but I'd love you to answer it for us. What does it mean for you to be a woman who has come through the decades? What was it like when you started out doing what you did, being a woman, and now when you feel so free spirited, how has it changed?
So I don't claim to speak for other women, not at all. In fact, I had a very, what would I say, pampered, you know, early life, and I've been really blessed, and it's been pretty easy for me right through. One thing I'd like to mention, if that's okay, is that I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, okay? And the reason why I mention it, because it's what makes me wacky, okay? And the other thing is that I work in this field, right? So if I had ADHD, I should have been able to diagnose it at least maybe 5 years after I started in this field. I diagnosed at least self-identified myself at the age of 60. Okay, during the pandemic, and the reason is because lots of girls started coming to Sethu, and we had online work, right? And then I started reading more about ADHD in women, and as I'm reading, there's not much. Suddenly the penny dropped, and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is describing me." And there were so many struggles that I had in terms of my emotional reactivity, in terms of procrastination. I'm a full of ideas. Every day I have 10 new ideas, and I think it's so easily done, and but then I lose interest, and then there's no follow through. So that doing stuff that is boring, and that is typical ADHD. Now, ADHD is very common in women, but because as women we compensate, we mask, we want to appear perfect, we have this disease to please, it goes underground. And inside we are struggling, we have all the emotional hyperactivity, we are, judging ourselves. Women are their own worst self-critics. Yes. And we have that voice telling us, even when you're doing well, oh, what's so great, you didn't do anything great. We just cut ourselves down constantly. That's why I think it's important to talk about this. That and after I kind of shared my, as I'm shameless, shared my diagnosis with I just feel it is such an asset to have in this line of work, and I can create awareness about this. And I've given talks all over on various platforms, and after that so many girls and women have approached me. I don't work with adults, so I will not do the diagnostic process for an adult woman, but I do make sure that they have their portfolio of their lived experience, because most doctors do not have time to listen to your story. Yes. And it's so important, because ADHD didn't start for me at 60, it started when I was born, right? And so it's so important to gather that information. And looking at me, like, people say, you have ADHD? Impossible, because I was top of the class, I did well academically, I started an NGO, I have a team, like no one will. But that is the strength of ADHD. Absolutely. Fearless. Absolutely. I'll jump in where fools will. The way I went into developmental pediatrics, I had a government job. And then people said, like, why are you quitting? Who quits a government job? I said, no, I want to do this. Why? It's fun. I want to do it. Like, and people say, okay, just work for 12 years, at least you'll get some pension. I said, I'll die in 12 years. Like, I just want to do it when I'm interested in it. And because I have a very supportive family who know that, like, generally whatever I do, whatever goes well, so that was it. No one dissuaded me and said, except my colleagues, they thought it was professional suicide. And I said, we'll see, right? But like that fearless, which is, which comes from my neurodiversity, yes, right? Yes. The creativity, the fearlessness, the shamelessness, and because now I understand myself, and that's why it's important to understand your brain. And even if you have a diagnosis, everything comes with strengths. So understand that it's not a doom and gloom picture. I'm not glossing over and say there are no struggles. Oh man, there are the huge struggle. You can ask my husband, poor fellow, what he had to go through. But it's there's so much positive in it. So let's harness that and let's find ways to deal with the struggles. So
I'm sure a lot of women would actually say that, do I possibly have it? Because it is an emotional struggle and you are not understanding yourself. You're constantly blaming yourself for being what you are.
Yes.
However, it is just something that you were born with. Tell us about young children and how can parents actually see those early symptoms in them, and when should they come and kind of seek some kind of assistance, guidance, whatever it is.
Right. So just as a general parenting rule, I would say always identify your child's strengths, whatever they are, right? And children show us in their behavior. Like sometimes parents ask about interest, say no, he's not interested in anything. I said, yeah, like how does he spend his free time? He's only watching TV. Oh great, what does he watch on TV? He's watching Animal Planet. Okay, so he likes animals. So when you observe your child's behavior, you will find a pattern of strengths. So always start with strengths. Then where is your child struggling? Okay, and if it's a young child, in terms of their development, so in terms of say their social emotional development, are they able to have friends, are they able to manage their emotions, in terms of their learning, are they managing in school, in terms of their motor or body development, can they run, can they, depending of course on each age. And if there's something that's worrying you, bring it to the table. In the sense, I'm not saying run and get an assessment done, but just notice it and like flag it, right? Then see how much is this impacting your child's functioning, because all of us will have some symptom or the other. We'll be irritable from time to time, we'll be very sad from time to time, we'll be forgetful, we will not complete our work, right? We'll make mistakes, but that doesn't mean we have a diagnosis. So what is the impact on your child's functioning? And here teachers are very important, because teachers see many kids of the same age, so they can kind of see what's not going up. Of course all kids are different, but you can pick up stark differences. Whereas at home we give much more leeway. If our child refuses to do something, acha jaane do, like I'll only do it. But a teacher has, teachers generally have standards which kids have to come up to. So your child's teacher is your partner, and if your child's teacher flags something, don't see it as like a indictment of your child that my child can't learn anything. Show curiosity, why are you saying this? And try and kind of share information from home. So I think when you ask me to go back to the original question, like what should parents do, as I said, first understand your child and your child's strengths. 2, observe your child's behavior. Of course, read, learn, talk to other parents. If there are certain behaviors or emotions which are concerning to you, your child is really struggling with that, find out how much it's impacting and what can you do differently. To give you a simple example, emotions, right? Many of us as adults haven't learned to handle our emotions, okay? And if you're human, you're going to have emotions. Maybe we are not expressing it in the right way, but it's a valid expression of what your inner experience is. So, when your child is upset or screaming or flinging something at you, it's important that we do what is called co-regulations. What is co-regulation? That the environment can be structured and the people in the environment can respond in a way that helps to calm the child. But if your child is upset and screaming and the parent is also upset and screaming, it's like petrol on top of the fire, and it's only going to get worse. Now, it's hard for the parent to stay calm when they have this determined, stubborn child who's not listening to them, and they're very tired and fed up and frustrated, so it's hard to stay calm. So that's where I tell parents, put your oxygen mask on at all times. Look after yourself first before you look after your child. It's, you hear it on the plane, in the air, but it's very important advice for down, because if your batteries are completely discharged, where are you going to give from? You're not a robot, you're human. Take care of yourself. And that's where women are terrible at this, mothers are terrible at this. If they're 5, slices of cake and 6 people, immediately mom says, you know what, I don't feel like eating cake. I don't want cake. Right? And I say, no, 5 slices, 6 people, eat 2 and remaining 3 divide into half and give the 6. Right? So, you know, look after yourself. You want to care for your child, look after yourself first. And that's something, again, every session I ask parents, what are you doing to look after yourself? They'll give us a smile and say, they don't have answers very often. Or they say, oh, you know, I want to do yoga, but there's no time. And I said, you know what, you have to make time. And I really think I stay sane because I'm fanatic about looking after myself.
Nice.
So, like, you know, half an hour yoga in the morning and my walk in the evening, these are, even if it's 10 minutes, I do it with my, you know, earpods and listening to some podcast, and I even walk just round and round my garden like one rat in a maze. But I need that to feel good. And I think we have to be very stubborn about that, because people aren't going to say, hey, take 1 hour, do what you like. No, everyone's going to be asking you for your time, and you yourself are, you know, saying, oh, I've not done that, and, you know, I should be cooking one more dish and so on. So yeah, so I think parents must look after themselves, and self-care is doing something that recharges your batteries. For each one it's different. If yoga doesn't float your boat, it's okay, choose something else. And even if you start with 5 minutes, it's important. If it's something that can be combined with something else, parents say, I don't have any time. I said, okay, do you like music? I love music. Okay, can you play like music on your ride to work, that, you know, you remember your college days, somewhere where you are just nourishing your soul. Very often these are sensory things we can taste, see, feel, hear, movement, you know. Can you put on that jazz music you like, and while you're washing dishes, like, dance, you know, anything, be silly. But you have to find a way. I'm sorry. That's the first step of anything that I advise, that you have to look after yourself. And I think when parents do start looking after themselves, the problems seem less enormous. So if your child is struggling, you will find ways. You're not alone. This is another thing I tell parents. No one of us is alone. We have to build a village around every child and make sure your village is full of other villagers. So build your team. You know, your whatever. What about your mother-in-law? She's very important. You know, she doesn't, oh, she keeps judging me. Okay, what does she like? Can you do something that she likes, you know, and kind of bring her onto your team, because they're powerful women. Women are powerful. Absolutely. Right? And I know it's not easy, but let's think collaboratively how it can work. And yeah, because as I said, no family is alone. No child should have to deal with this alone. And even if they're dealing with something difficult, there will be a strengths-based story or lived experience in that. Bring that to the table, and what has worked well, and start growing that, so that, you know, and it can never be just the parent. Sometimes parents feel ashamed again, like, how can I tell anybody, you know, my neighbor's child is whatever, so good, and yeah, you're not alone, and take care of yourself. Maybe then you'll feel less stressed.
I'd love to know about the voracious reader bit, because I mean, all of us would like to still connect with that childhood part of us that just, there was nothing to do, so we read. How do you still do it?
So as a child, and I think right up to maybe when I became a parent, I used to actually read a lot. Yeah. Then my reading became more academic stuff, work-based stuff, because it's so different, there's so much, and I'm fascinated by it, like I'm, you know, like really hyper-focused on learning more about neurodiversity and so on. Then I found that because I'm absent-minded, I would start reading something, then forget it at work, and, you know, not have it at home. I can't read off a screen, I have to print and read. So now I've got into audiobooks, and I have an Audible account, and I am reading a lot. I've read like full books, read meaning listened to. So that, and it's with me all the time, it's on my phone. So yeah, so that's how I read now.
Super. You've been wonderful. You've been truly wonderful.
Thank you. I've enjoyed my conversation with you. You've asked such lovely questions, and as I say, I love to talk. So, you know, give me a stage and